Okay, well, thank you for coming today, and we want to call the meeting to order. We'll start with a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excuse me, Erica, do you have a paper agenda for me?
That's June 6th.
So while I'm waiting on that, let's go ahead and have the roll call.
Kevin Ryman.
Here.
Michael Cox. Peter Hansel. Jamie Girardi.
Here.
Roberto Saiz.
Here.
Richard Tonello representing Chris Williams.
Here.
And Chairman Charles Gray.
Here. Okay, we have minutes to approve? Okay. All right, then I'd like to welcome everybody and tell you that we're the Planning Commission. We meet on a twice monthly basis. We serve as a local planning agency, and we hold hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings and conditional use requests. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, the final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any comprehensive plan amendment, land development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission transmits a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important that you attend the appropriate Board of County Commissioner meeting. For those of you who are not familiar with the format of our meetings, the procedures are as follows. We have continuances, and it's been our custom to approve a request for continuance by the applicant or by the staff unless there are extenuating circumstances, such as the convenience of the affected parties. We also have a consent agenda, and that is an agenda where the items have received no letters of objection from the public or from the staff, and they'll be placed on the consent agenda and will be read item by item. If you wish to have an item pulled from the consent agenda, raise your hand with that item, and I will pull it for discussion. Absent any objections, those items will remain on consent and voted on all at one time. Regular items will, of course, remain on the regular agenda and will be discussed here today. Applicants will have 3 minutes to make their presentation. Objectors will have 3 minutes to state their concerns. Following the presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to respond, unless I have received requests for more time in writing at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, which I don't believe there has been any such requests. This is a great time to silence your phones if you have one that's not silenced. So before we start the regular meeting, we ask if there are any people here for public comment on something that's not on the agenda today. If there is, this is the time for you to come forward, state your name and address, and state your concern. I don't see anybody, so I believe we can begin the meeting, regular meeting.
Karen?
Yes.
Can I do a swearing?
Yes. Anybody who plans to give testimony today, if you'll please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth to help you God? Thank you.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Yep. Good publication. The items were published in the Tampa Bay Times on May 24th, 2019 and June 10th, 2019, or by affidavit of mailouts and postings at the site.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All right. If not, then Denise.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. We're going to go through the consent agenda right now. Item PC1 is the first item on your consent agenda. It's PDD 19 CU 35. This is actually a withdrawn item in the name of David W. and Tracy M. Rosmus for a paintball field and archery range in an AC agricultural district. This is a withdrawn by the applicant, so there's no further action required on this item.
All right, thank you.
Item PC2 is actually going to be pulled, which is PDD 19-1063. And there will be some discussion and a presentation on the item. Item PC3 is PDD 19-1068. It's small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 1803 for Sierra Oakstead Track 4. It's a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map, 2-15 and sheet 20, changing from Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, to COM commercial on approximately 3.629 acres located on the north side of State Road 54, approximately 1/4 mile east of Oakstead Boulevard. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
Okay.
And on this item, you're actually sitting as a local planning agency, so we're requesting that you find this item consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, and is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? No. We have one objection, so we'll pull that.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No?
Just letting this to PC2.
Okay. All right, so we'll back up then. So that'll remain on consent?
Yeah, and that concludes the consent agenda.
All right, Clark, we just did that for your benefit. We don't want to do
How if I just get a motion?
that. Emotional, yeah. Okay. So we have one withdrawal, one pulled, PC2, and one remaining on consent. So do I have a motion on the consent?
So moved.
Second.
Do you have a further discussion on the motion to approve? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That was painless, wasn't it?
Erica Wellens, Planning and Development. CPAL 1904 is a staff-initiated comprehensive plan text amendment in the name of Central Pasco Employment Village text amendment. I just want to give you some background history as to why we have a board-directed staff-initiated comprehensive plan amendment. The intention of the staff-initiated text amendment to the CPEV sub-area policies is to facilitate the process of development within the CPEV by eliminating and modifying development provisions. These provisions and modifications include eliminating the requirement for one ECMPD for the entire sub-area, and limiting the financial plan requirements, and removing provisions regarding the rural transition area north of State Road 52, and addresses the use of well and septic tanks in low-density areas when utilities are not available. On March 12, 2019, the BCC directed Planning and Development to expedite a staff-initiated comprehensive plan tax amendment. And then some background history on CPEV. On September 8, 2008, the BCC adopted biannual 080211 comprehensive plan amendment by ordinance number 08-39, which added the flu map classifications of AG, Res 1, and EC to INCON on approximately 2,384 acres. However, on October 31st, 2008, the Florida Department of Community Affairs, which is no longer active, found the amendment not in compliance with the requisite Florida statutes, and a remedial comprehensive plan amendment by ordinance number 10-04 pursuant to the stipulated partial settlement agreement was adopted by the BCC on March 16, 2010. Again, the reason as to why there was a staff-initiated comprehensive plan text amendment was to facilitate the development within CPEV. As to now, there is zero development. So the biggest thing that we want to do was to allow property owners to come in with their own individual ECMPDs. Here is a master plan graphic that was adopted within the CPEV area plan. And here you can see the different land uses that are spread out within the CPEV. That now within the text amendment, they actually do call out this map because it is very vital for when applicants are coming in with their own ECMPDs that we stick with this area map. The CPEV subarea policies requires a mixed-use development with an emphasis on employment attractors. By proposing the elimination of requirement of one overall ECMPD, it allows for individual property owners to proceed with development without having to coordinate financial planning with other property owners within the CPEV subarea. Without an overall ECMPD, a financial plan is not feasible between parcels and will be developed independently. The CPEV is located within the central market area, and that market area is envisioned as a suburban area with concentrated development and activity nodes with emphasis on employment centers and town centers. Development is an ecological form consistent with the conservation land in the market area. The mission of the market area is the creation of mixed-use and compact development designed to preserve open space and serve as a design employment node. And with that, Planning and Development recommends that this amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and we recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you. And let me know if you have any questions regarding the edits that have been made to the subarea policy. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Thank you, Erica. And the applicant is present? Anyone here to object?
To be clear, the county is the applicant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is she speaking for the county?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Ted Schrader. Address is 101 West Beach Place, Tampa, Florida. I appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. If board members remember, this item came before you previously for a rezoning request for some heavy industrial, and we're now here today to discuss a planned text amendment. Since the last time the Planning Commission met to discuss this, myself and my brother and Andy Scaglione, another property owner within the CPE general vicinity, met with staff to discuss, going forward what was going to happen. And after that, the applicant withdrew their application for the rezoning request. As you're aware, and the staff correctly pointed out, the BCC directed staff to expedite a text amendment plan for your consideration. Myself and Mr. Scaglione and my brother and another gentleman met with staff, or we requested a meeting with staff to discuss the text amendment that you all are going to be considering today. Unfortunately, staff had a conflict after the meeting was scheduled, so I respectfully requested that they reschedule that meeting, and unfortunately, I get an email 2 days ago that this item is going before the Planning Commission today. So we are respectfully requesting that you continue this item, allowing us the opportunity to meet with staff. We may not have any issues with what's being presented to you today, but I do have some concerns and some questions that I would like to try to get answered. My recollection is that the time to object to land use change is specifically during the FLU period, not when the rezonings come in. So without going into a great amount of detail, I would respectfully request that the Planning Commission continue this item to Dade City and allow us an opportunity to meet with staff and try to get answers to some of our questions, and then we'll probably stand before you and seek your approval. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Reale, addressed 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa, Florida, 33602. We share similar concerns. I won't readdress the timeline, but we had proposed language for septic and water well specifically, we being the Air and Preserve owners who I represent. The new language is different from the language that was submitted by us and last presented. And so we have not yet had the time for our engineers to see if this language is sufficient. It may work. We just don't know at this point. So we want to formally object to that language now so that we have time to review and request that the commission have staff confer with us on this. Again, the timeline was already discussed. I won't repeat that. We do not, however, think that a continuance is necessary. Of course, there being multiple owners inside this area, it's a different opinion for each one, but we believe that with some communication with staff and some research, we can probably figure this out. We just not have had time to do that, and so we think that can be done before the BCC hearing. So we would just like to object to the new language until we understand that better, and think we can work that out later. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Fidel. I'm with King Engineering, which is now called the Ardura Group. We're at 4921 Memorial Highway in Tampa, 33634, and I have been sworn. I'm here representing George Southworth of 3KS Limited Family Partnership, who is one of the landowners within CPEV. He owns the 138 acres on the far east corner, 52 and just shy of Bellamy Brothers. He could not be present today, so unfortunately he couldn't come in person. So you just have to hear it from me. We are objecting to any continuance. Staff's worked really hard to get us here. The date that it was, the date that we withdrew from Planning Commission was March 12th. We're now in June, 3 months. The Pasco Economic Development Council has asked us to become the next economic development ready site. And in order to do that, we have to have a zoning. So we can't submit, really consider the rezoning to an EC MPUD until the ability to have multiple EC MPUDs is approved. So we support staff's recommendation. Staff worked with us to modify some language, which I think you've got before you. We're in agreement with those changes, assuming it's what you sent me yesterday via email. We just want to bring jobs to Pasco County and get this going. It's been since 2008. Nobody can really develop until we have the ability to file individual MPUDs. We've agreed to comply with the ECMPUD process, and that's all I have to say, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Before we go any further, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that I have had some ex parte communication with some of the surrounding property owners, including the Schraders. And, it's obvious to me that there were some commitments made from the county to give the surrounding property owners a chance to meet and have some input. That meeting was canceled and not rescheduled. And I just think it's, in order to be fair, I think it's important to give them the time to have a look at what you propose and respond to it. I think it's just fairness in my mind. So that would be my suggestion to the board. The board can take whatever action they feel is appropriate. But I do have a copy of an email here basically saying that the county apologizes for not rescheduling the meeting. Time got away from them. So.
I agree with that. I think it's necessary that all the parts have the opportunity to check what they're going to be approved, and the owners around the area have the time with their consultants, engineers, to analyze the proposal. I don't see anyone to deny or go against this one. Just they need a little bit of time to analyze and study this proposal, and I don't see why we cannot give that time to them.
Okay, so is that a motion then?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If I may, just to add clarification, this is a comprehensive plan amendment that takes the large-scale review route, which means that there is a transmittal meeting that will take place. So if the project leaves the LPA, it will go to the Board of County Commissioners, wherein they will transmit the proposed amendments to the state. There is a public comment period associated with that, and we can always take and meet during that period. We can meet in the period between LPA and BCC as well. There's 31 days before the adoption hearing can be set, and then following the adoption hearing, there's another 31 days after the adoption packets have been received by DEO.
Well, I think there were promises made and promises not kept. And I think, Roberto, you're on the right track. That's my personal opinion.
I agree.
Okay, so we have a motion, and we have a second.
When is the next meeting? When is the next
Dade City
30
meetings.
days?
July 11th is the next planning commission at 1:30 in Dade City.
Which will place the transmittal
It's
hearing
appropriate that
in
it be,
August.
that it happen in Dade City anyway. So we have a motion and a second. Any
Yes.
further discussion on the motion? All in
So to
favor
be
of the
clear,
motion?
The motion's to continue to July 11th.
Right.
To be
Right.
clear. Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
That was the last item on the agenda.
Okay.
Um,
So we're ready for training?
Do you want me to present the training, or did you want to adjourn and
We
then
want to
present the
adjourn.
training?
Yeah. So we have a motion to adjourn?
to adjourn?
Second, further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Okay. So I'm going to present the training, but I'd like to also.